The auction house on station Kepler 442 reeked of desperation and disinfectant. Louis Hartman stood at the back of the cramped chamber, his weathered hands gripping a data slate that displayed his entire life savings, a number that had taken 15 years of asteroid mining to accumulate. The number that would disappear in the next 10 minutes. Lot 73, the auctioneer's mechanical voice droned. Hybrid female Zephyrian Calthari mix, age 19 standard years, no defects, no formal education, starting bid, 8,000 credits. Louis's jaw tightened. The girl on the platform looked nothing like the proud Zephyrians he'd encountered during the war, with their luminescent skin and triple-jointed limbs. She didn't resemble the cold, calculating Calthari either, with their geometric facial plates and silicon-based biology. Anna, the name flickered on his slate, was something caught between worlds, belonging to neither. Her skin shimmered with an opalescent quality, shifting from pale blue to silver depending on the station's harsh lighting. 2 sets of arms hung at her sides, the upper pair distinctly Zephyrian, the lower Calthari and slightly smaller. Her eyes were enormous, multifaceted like a Calthari's, but they held a depth of emotion no pure-blooded Calthari could ever express. Those eyes never left the floor. Bastard spawn, someone muttered in galactic common. The Zephyrian ambassador's mistake. Louis had heard the story. A Zephyrian diplomat, a Calthari servant, a political scandal that had rocked 2 star systems. The child had been hidden, then discarded. Now she stood on an auction block while the galaxy's dregs bid on her future. 15,000, Louis said quietly. The room fell silent. Humans rarely participated in indenture auctions, and when they did, it was usually for specialized labor. Engineers, pilots, soldiers. Not for a hybrid girl with no skills and no future. 20,000, a Krillian merchant countered, his tentacles writhing with interest. Louis knew what the Krillian wanted. He'd seen it before on the outer stations. Young females disappearing into pleasure houses. Never seen again. 50,000, Louis said, his voice carrying across the chamber like a hammer strike. The auctioneer's avatar flickered with surprise. The Krillian's skin flushed purple with rage, but he remained silent. No one else bid. That was Louis's life savings, his retirement, his ticket off the rocks and onto a colony world with real soil and real sky. Sold to the human. The transport back to Louis's HAB unit took 20 minutes. Anna sat across from him in the cramped shuttle, her forearms wrapped around herself, her crystalline eyes fixed on something he couldn't see. She hadn't spoken a word since he'd claimed her contract. Louis's HAB unit was small but clean, a luxury in the asteroid belt. 1 main room, a sleeping alcove, a kitchen that could synthesize 60 different meals, and a bathroom with actual running water, not just sonic cleaners. He watched Anna's eyes widen as she took it in. "You'll sleep in the alcove," Louis said, gesturing to the space he'd been using for storage until this morning. "I'll take the couch. There are clean clothes in the drawer. The bathroom's yours whenever you need it." Anna's head snapped toward him, her upper hands instinctively moving to a defensive position. "You're not going to." Her voice was musical, a blend of Zephyrian harmonics and Calthari undertones that created something entirely new. "No," Louis said firmly. "I'm not going to do anything." "You're safe here. Then why?" The question came out as a whisper. "Why buy me?" "Humans don't take contracts unless they need labor. I can't mine. I can't pilot. I can't—" "Sit down," Louis interrupted gently, pointing to the chair. He moved to the kitchen, his back deliberately turned to her. "You hungry?" Silence. Then quietly, "Yes." He programmed the synthesizer for a protein blend compatible with hybrid biology. He'd researched it during the shuttle ride. When he turned back, Anna was sitting on the edge of the chair like a bird ready to flee. Louis set the plate in front of her and sat across the small table. "My daughter would have been about your age," he said, staring at his own untouched food. "Sarah, she died 7 years ago. Reactor breach on Station Ceres, my wife too." Anna's hands hovered over the food, but she didn't eat. "I'm not looking for replacements," Louis continued. "And I'm not looking for anything else. I saw you up there, and I saw what that Krillian wanted. I've seen too much death, too much darkness out here. Figured maybe I could do one good thing before I'm too old to matter. One good thing." Anna repeated the words like they were in a foreign language. "I'm your one good thing? Maybe, or maybe you'll teach me something. Maybe you'll leave when your contract's up. Maybe we'll figure this out together. Lewis finally met her eyes. But tonight, you're safe. Tomorrow, you're safe. And the day after that, for the next 5 years of this contract, you're safe. That's all I'm offering. Anna's multifaceted eyes shimmered with something Lewis hadn't expected. Tears. In all his years dealing with aliens, he'd never seen a Kalthari cry. The Zephyrians could, but it was rare, almost shameful in their culture. Why are humans like this? She whispered. Like what? Broken. She gestured at him with her upper right hand. You're clearly broken. You spend everything you have on a stranger. You give up your bed. You expect nothing. The galaxy says humans are weak because of this, because you feel too much. Lewis smiled, and it was a sad, knowing expression. Maybe we are weak. Or maybe... He stood and began clearing the table, giving her space. Maybe we're the only ones strong enough to be broken and still choose kindness. That night, Lewis lay on his couch staring at the HAB unit's ceiling. From the alcove, he could hear soft breathing, the unique rhythm of a hybrid respiratory system. He thought about the galaxy's opinion of humanity, the same opinion he'd heard for decades. Too emotional, too irrational, too willing to sacrifice for abstract concepts like honor and compassion. But it was that same weakness that had won humanity allies in the Galactic Council. It was that same irrationality that had made human medics legendary for saving wounded soldiers regardless of species. It was that too much feeling that had turned the tide in the Zephyrian-Kalthari war, when human negotiators had done the impossible, made both sides see each other as people. From the alcove, Anna's voice drifted through the darkness. Lewis? Yeah. Thank you, 2 words, simple, profound. You're welcome, kid, and in the cold void of space, surrounded by rocks and radiation and the galaxy's infinite indifference, one human widower and one hybrid girl who belonged nowhere, began the strange process of becoming a family, not because the galaxy expected it, not because it made logical sense, but because sometimes humanity's greatest strength was its refusal to abandon broken things, including themselves.